Hi, welcome again. Today I want to show you something I'm really excited about, and this might be one of the biggest feature in OpenLand after the release. Here we have decal support for landscape. Everything you see here, including this text, as well as these rock patches, as well as this manhole and the twigs on this sand is based on decals. So let me focus on this text decal. I can simply rotate it, and this is actually projecting on my landscape. And here we have a manhole. I can place it anywhere I like. This is not a static image, so it's printed on my landscape. Alright, if I need to copy this, I can simply hit Alter and simply drag this. I now have a copy of this decal and I can place it anywhere I like. Also, this Pebble Patches actually comes from a decal as well. So let me show you. So this is derived using a noise. I can remove that noise, and this is how it looks like. It's like a huge amount of pebbles that you can see over here, but now I can drive it using a noise, so I can have a very interesting pattern like this. And of course I can change the noise, how it looks like. I can add more pebbles or more grass, and it's up to you. Also, we have some twigs placed on this sand just using decals. So I can show you. I can simply hide that and I can simply turn it on. And one of the importance of these decals is now we can have unlimited, at least more textures on our landscape, and it's quite easy to use and it doesn't affect the performance. And you know, with paint layers, it's quite tedious to have more paint layers, and it's also really hard to something like this manhole printed on my landscape using paint layers. But now we have such a nice tool and we don't really need to rely on paint layers too much anymore. Alright, this feature is part of the OpenLand landscape material and tools, and you can get it for free from GitHub if you're using it for non-commercial project or just trying out. And also you can get it from the marketplace for commercial purpose, and you can check the description for getting all these things. Right, now let's see how we can do the initial setup. Alright, now we have a landscape creator using OpenLand landscape material, and now let's try to add a decal support or landscape decal support to this landscape. First, you need to enable virtual texture support and add virtual texture support for your landscape. And here's how to do that. Go to Edit, Project Settings, and search for Virtual. And here under the Virtual Texture section, we have an option called Enable Virtual Texture Support. Enable it. And then you need to restart your project and do it. Alright, now I'm back. Now go to Edit, Plugins. Now search for Scripting. Here we have a plugin called Editor Scripting Utilities, and make sure to enable that and restart your project. And if that's enabled, that's totally fine. And then go to Content Directory, OpenLand, and here we have another directory called Widgets. Go into that and right click on the OpenLand RVT widget and click Run Editor Utility Widget. And here you will have a big button like this, and select your landscape from the world outline and hit this button. Okay, then you will ask to do some steps as shown here, but I'm gonna show you how to do that. And first select this RVT volume height on the world outline and go to the details panel, and from this virtual texture section select the OpenLand height texture and select the RVT volume material on the world outline, and then select the RVT OpenLand material on the virtual texture section. Alright, and then go to File and Save All. Right, then you can close this widget and then click your landscape from the world outline. Go to the details panel and open the landscape material, and this is the material instance of OpenLand, and search for RVT. And then here we have option called Use RVT Cache. Enable it. And if you can see the landscape like this, basically you can see the textures, everything is good. If not, try to start from scratch and it will work for sure. And here we use the one of the features of RVT, runtime virtual textures. And if you will want to learn more about RVT cache, we have a video, and check the description to learn about it. But it's totally optional. So now you ask how we can access to decals, or what are they? So basically decals are just set of textures. You can basically get decals, specifically decals from the Megascan like this. There's a section for decals. Also you can bring usual surface textures as well, and you don't need to get them from Megascan. You can bring them on anywhere you like. Also you can export some textures, hand paint textures using Photoshop or anywhere you like. Right, now we know how to get these decals and let's use them. In this project, I have imported some of the decals from Megascan, and you can see them on the Megascan directory. And we have a section called surfaces. So these are the normal textures and these are the decals like this. And I can show you the manhole. Yeah, this is it. And now let's try to see how to use this manhole. I have another content browser. All right, go to content, OpenLand. Here we have a directory called blueprints. Go to that. And here we have a blueprint called Landscape Decal. Simply drag that into your scene. Right. And if you see some blurred effect like this, that's totally fine. Simply play your game once. And that's it. So basically you can see we painted a simple image on this my landscape. You can see, and I can move anywhere I like, and it goes with landscape. And go to the details panel of this landscape decal, right? Then you have a couple of options over here. The first one is textures, and let's try to add some textures. So let's add this manhole. First, we have the base color or the albedo. I'm going to put it over here. And then we can set the normal map, right? So now we can get some details. And also we can set the opacity on here. It's all right. And then roughness and displacement. In this case, displacement doesn't matter, but of course you can edit. All right. So this is too big, I guess. Yeah, it is. Right, then I can simply scale it down. I can select the decals and go to the scaling option. Yep, like this. Right, I think this is just fine. All right, now let's try to add another decal. In this case, I'm gonna use a simple text decal. So let me grab another decal instance. Right, then I go to the details panel. Now we have textures, and I'm gonna use a graffiti, this simple text. And you can simply export a Photoshop image like this. Basically opacity texture and with some black and white and also some color like that. It's really easy to get this done from Photoshop or any photo editing software. And I can simply grab the base color over here and an opacity into the opacity section. Right, now I can scale it as I want. Also I can rotate it. Right, now it's printed on my landscape. And if you need to change the color, you have this tint option and you can simply try to do some color changes if you like. It's up to you. In this case, I like the default color. All right, now I can play my game and you can see I'm walking on this decal and yeah, it looks really nice. And still this manhole is quite big. That's fine. Actually, with landscape decals, we can do more. Here we just simply use it. But before we try out some advanced options, I think it might be better to have some sort of grass so it looks quite nice. And here I'm gonna add OpenLand grass to this landscape, but you can use any sort of grass with your landscape and also configure with landscape decals. I'll show you how to do that at the end of the video, but right now I'm going to use OpenLand grass. It has direct integration with this decal support, so you can get OpenLand grass just like OpenLand from GitHub or Marketplace, and check the description on this video. In this project I have already downloaded OpenLand grass, so I can simply use that. Go to content browser, content, OpenLand, and I'm going to open the grass section, and we have GT ground. So this is the place how we add grass into my landscape with OpenLand. And here I'm going to add this plus icon, and I'm going to add some grass. And here we have a grass mesh called Slender. It comes with OpenLand grass. And here we have the density 400. It's too much, I guess. I'm going to 200. And here I'm going to set the max to 2. Yeah, like this. Now grass is coming on top of this decals. That's the behavior you want, and that's totally fine. But in this case, I don't want grass on top of my decals. And here's how to fix that. Go to OpenLand directory again, OpenLand grass. And here we have directory called blueprints. Go into that and then drag this first blueprint BP underscore OpenLand grass manager into your scene. Right. And then select this blueprint and scroll to the bottom of the details panel. Here we have a section called RVT hide grass intensity. Simply set that to 1. So now you can see decals clearly, and that's exactly what we need. And I want to mention that it is totally possible to get this exact same behavior on any sort of grass you have. And I'm going to explain that how to do that at the end of this video. Right, I'm going to save this project. And just to show you here, I'm going to change this decal's position. Now you can see grass, and I can place it anywhere I like, and the grass doesn't grow on top of this. Very cool. Right, now let's try to add another decal onto this sand area. I'm gonna place some twigs. All right, and now I'm gonna again add a decal into this sand area. All right, like this. Okay, now let's add the decal texture. And here in the Megascan directory, I have a decal on the atlases called Twigs. And I'm gonna drag the base color over here and the normal map over here, roughness, opacity and the displacement at the end. Right, now we have a single set of twigs. I can play the game and it's quite big and I don't really like it. I can simply try to like change the size like this, and I can duplicate like copy of these decals on different section. That's totally possible, but here I'm trying to use another approach. Go to the details panels of this decal. Under this UV section, I'm gonna select the UV source as the ground plane. Now immediately I don't see anything. Okay, that's totally fine. You can see some decals over there. It's quite small. So what really happened was, so now we are trying to project this decal using the ground plane as the UV source. Before we do anything, let's try to increase the size of this decal. You can simply do that on the tile section. Let's see, I'm gonna add 6. Right, it's too much, I guess. Let's add 3 and 3. All right, now you can see decals here and there. Now, so I can scale this decal. Now you can see it expands. So now you can see it actually use the ground plane to distribute this decal, and that's exactly what we need. All right, now this looks better, but now you can see it's kind of repetitive. Like if you go higher, you can clearly see they are scattered as a row, but that's not what we want. We can easily fix that using the texture variation support comes with these decals. On the UV section, we have something called variation offset, and try to increase that. Right now we have a little bit of randomness, and also you can change the rotation little bit. Right, and you can also change the scale influence as well. Now you don't see them like scattered uniformly now. They are randomly scattered. Now I can play my game. Yep, and this is exactly what we need. Still, I feel like these twigs are a little bit larger, but of course, you can simply change these tiling options and adjust as you want. All right, let's try to add one more decal. And in this case, I'm going to use a simple texture rather than a specific decal download from Megascan. All right, first, I'm going to add a decal into the scene. So here we have a river gravel texture. Yeah, I like that one. And again, I'm gonna add textures, base color, normal, displacement, and the roughness. In this case, we don't have opacity, and that's totally fine. Now in the UV section, I'm gonna change this into ground plane. So we're gonna scatter like this, and I can play this game thing. Yeah, these are quite smaller, so I'm gonna increase the tiling into maybe 3 by 3. Yeah, I kind of like it. And then I can simply scale this texture or the decal. I can expand them in place like this. See, now we can see the textures are repeating. I can easily fix that using variations. Here on the UV section, I have variation offset. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to add some rotation, maybe scale. Yeah. All right, now we have a set of rocks, and now we are no longer repeating the same texture, and looks, yeah, nice. But still, yeah, this is not what we want. So here I'm gonna drive a noise on top of this so we can have some interesting look. Here on the details panel, I'm gonna scroll to the bottom, and we have an option called noise opacity. Here I'm gonna increase the noise opacity influence to 1. Right, now you can see we drive some noise and looks like this. But in this case, I'm gonna increase the opacity range a little bit. Right, I'm gonna get some like, okay, something like this. Also, I'm gonna increase the noise scale a little bit. So I have some larger patches. I can add more grass if I need. So basically you can change the sliders and get the look you want. All right, now I can simply scale these as I like. Yeah, I have a really nice variations on my ground, and yeah, it looks really nice. Right, now we have a problem. So you can see, even though we run a noise over here, we can see some like edges over here. I can easily fix that using some edge opacity. Now the details panel, we have a section called edge opacity, and the first option is edge page contrast. I can increase these X and Y's. So for example, if I increase the X, now you can see I have added some fade on this X axis. Okay, we don't see edges anymore. And I'm gonna do the same thing for my Y axis as well. All right, now it looks, yeah, it looks nice. Also, instead of this edge opacity, we have another option called radial opacity. So I can increase this distance. Right, now you can see instead of edge opacity, we're gonna use the radial opacity, and it's a choice you have to make, and you can control this how it looks like from here. But I'm not gonna use it right now. I'm gonna stick with edge opacity, and it looks fine over here. And also, if you don't like this exact behavior of this noise pattern, you can easily change that. Here we have the seed option for noise. On the z-axis, I can change the z value, and it will give me a variation of this noise. Also, you can change the x and y coordinates and simply move them. You can change the pattern from this z-axis noise seed. Also, we have another option called height lap opacity. In this case, I don't gonna use it, but I'm gonna show how it looks like. All right, here we have these pebbles, and then I'm gonna increase this height lap opacity a little bit. You can see now grass is coming on top of this rock. So here we can see the whole amount of my texture. But if I increase this height lap influence value, you can see now we can see some opacity around this rock. Basically, it uses the displacement map of this texture and try to do some opacity based on that, and it'll be useful in some scenario. But here I'm not gonna use it, but is that what you want? And yeah, you can totally use it. Also, we have another option for grass. Let's say you need grass on this decal, you can simply increase this more grass slider, and you can grow more grass on top of your decal, and you can control that. So if you need to reduce the amount of grass, you can increase this less grass slider, and it will try to reduce the amount of grass, but it's not possible to do that always. Keep that in mind. Right, now this is all about decals and some of the options we have, but of course you can go through the settings over here, try to experiment and yeah, try to do something interesting. All right, so we simply start with this simple manhole, and we put a texture decal, and here we add some twigs and use the ground plane as the UV source. And after that, we use this pebble texture and try to run a noise through that and get this nice looking pebble patches here and there. And also we explore some of the options that comes with OpenLand decals. And this is all about decals in OpenLand. If you want to stop this video, you can totally do that. Right now, I'm gonna show you how to add grass hiding support for OneGrass engine grasses and also grasses you already have. In order to do that, I'm gonna open my OpenLand grass and GG ground file. I'm gonna delete all the grass currently we have. And here I have some stylized grass created using the OneGrass engine. Right, then I think this density is too much. I'm gonna use the 200. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah, I don't see any decals on top of this one. Let's try to add the grass hiding feature. And here you have the material instance for this OneGrass engine grass. Open that. And here search for RVT. First, you need to set a RVT sample material. Select that. And here we have our OpenLand RVT material. Select that. And then about these other options, select this checkbox and select the use RVT blending. All right. Then it will show up the height texture as well, and select our RVT height texture. On here, we have an option called RVT height grass intensity at the bottom. Select that and increase the value to 1. Yeah, we don't see grass grow on our decal, and that's exactly what we want. Now I'm going to show you how to add the height grass support for a custom grass you have. In this, I create a simple grass using a cylinder, and this is my grass, and it looks stupid, but yeah, that's totally fine. So I'm going to add this as my grass mesh. I'm going to add item over here. I'm going to grab this over here, and this is my grass, and I have huge amount of grass, and I don't want that. 200. And let's try to change the size a little bit. I'm gonna set this to free, and I think I don't need this much of sizes. Max is 0.1, 0.1 on the y-axis as well. All right, it looks fine. I'm gonna increase the amount, 500 density over here. Okay, now this is my grass. All right, now let's try to hide this grass on top of this decal. Here's how to do that. Open your material, the grass material. In this case, it's a pretty simple material, but in your case, you have more options. But the one thing is you have this opacity mask option. All you have to do is right click and search for OpenLand. And here we have an option called OpenLand RVT sample, and click that. So now you can get this, and you will get a opacity mask value over here. And let's say it's 1 over here. Now try to multiply that with this show grass value, and put the result back into your opacity mask. Now save your material. Alright, that's all, and that's exactly what we need. Alright, that's about it. I think this is a quite powerful feature of OpenLand, and the reason is now we don't need to rely on paint layers anymore. Now we can completely paint this landscape using decals, and it gives a really nice look. Also, it's quite efficient when it comes to performance, because here we are using virtual texture. It doesn't matter the number of decals you have, and it's totally you don't need to worry about that. And I want to mention that this is just the start of the set of features that come into OpenLand quite soon. Based on this, we will have the road printer support as well. So basically you can print roads using decals, and we will have some other, and of course we can talk about those things sometimes later. All right, see you soon, something interesting. Bye.